always known that you're on a soul path? And have you wondered how to gain real insight into the steps along your own unique journey? Welcome everyone, I'm Sarah Main, and thank you for joining me on Damayanti, the show for your soul. It's great to have you join me. Damayanti means deep peace and calm. Damayanti sheds a light for your soul through the gift of wisdom that shines in the beautiful and universal language of Sanskrit. Damayanti is the show that speaks to your soul, connects with your soul, and enriches your soul. Welcome everyone. Hi everyone. This is Damayanti, the show for your soul, and I'm Sarah Main, your host. And today I'm going to be talking about the oxygen mask principle. Yes, the oxygen mask principle, the essential nature of self-care. Self-care. It's a topic, it's around. Everyone talks about self-care. You need to self-care. Is self-care selfish? You know, are you just focused on yourself? But the thing that helped me on this, because I struggled with this, frankly, and I don't know whether it's particularly, I think it's a women thing especially, but it can afflict men. But the thing that helped me was just thinking about the oxygen mask principle. And what do I mean by that? The oxygen mask principle, think of being on an aeroplane when they're doing the safety presentation. It doesn't matter what airline you're on. This is an international standard that they tell you when they're talking about the oxygen mask to fit it on yourself first and then help children and others who need help. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It's an international standard on airplanes in flying that when they tell you about the oxygen mask, they tell you to fit it on yourself first, and then you can help children and other people who need help. All right. Now, I probably hardly need to explain this to you, but I'm just going to reflect it back so we take a moment that if, just say on an airplane, if you're very selflessly fitting a child or someone else first, and you need oxygen and you lose consciousness, then you're of no use to those children, that child, or that person that needed help thereafter. They're okay, but they needed your help to begin with. So they may need your help later, and you can't offer that help. So you need to get the mask on yourself first, because you're able to do that, and then you can help others, right? I'm breaking down something that's blindingly obvious, but in the course of our lives, do we take that principle and apply it? Okay. We can often feel a bit divided within ourselves. Our head's saying one thing and our heart's saying something else, and we get out of a sort of balance and alignment. All right. And remembering the oxygen mask principle, I've found is very, very helpful, especially if you tend to be a bit workaholic, which I can be. Okay. So let's talk about sort of balance and alignment first. So a key point about this is we have a body, a mind, a heart, and a spirit. As a human being, we are, as they say, a spiritual entity having a spiritual being having a physical experience. All right. And that means we have a body, a physical body, we have a mind, a heart, and a spirit. Now think of these as individual bodies, one inside the other, like a Petrushka Russian doll, one inside the other. Think of concentric circles. Okay. Now, we often think of the heart being inside and the physical body being the largest thing on the outside. It's actually the reverse. All right. So our physical body is the smallest part of us, then the mind and heart, and we actually expand out that way. That's the correct way of looking at it. But anyway, that could be the topic of another show. But think of, we have these different parts. All right. This is helpful to just apply some reason to the situation. And if we think of them as bodies, then just like our physical body needs food, nourishment, It needs exercise. It needs use and work and application. Our bodies are not designed to just sit and do nothing. We have to move, all right? And we need rest, restoration. So we need food, exercise, and rest. Food, exercise, and rest. So that's nourishment. We need use, application, work of some form. We need movement, and we need restoration, rest. So food, exercise, and rest. Obvious point for the physical body, but the mind as a body needs food, exercise, and rest. So what's food for the mind? Exercise for the mind, rest for the mind. That's a thought. Now, what about the heart? Food for the heart, exercise for the heart, rest for the heart, and the same for spirit. Changes our sort of thoughts about, may change our thoughts about, all I'm doing is thinking about physical food. Okay, and then it's go, 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 go. Well, think of food, exercise, and rest. Okay, restoration. Now, so we've got that thought. Now let's apply our mind, our reason to the next thing is measure how much of each of these. Because obviously physical food, you can't just keep eating no matter how good it is. Like broccoli, it's great, but if that's all you ate, you'd get sick. Okay, because there's a measure. Rest is wonderful, but if you just slept all the time, that's no good either. Your body would degrade. So there's a measure. Exercise. Exercise is essential. You need to actually work the body. It needs to be active. It's not designed to just sit around doing nothing. You get sick if you do, but if you overwork, you'll get sick. So measure is essential. And what is measure? Well, the essence of measure is knowing when to stop, all right? It's not when to start, it's when to stop. So if you're eating broccoli, it's knowing when enough is enough. When is enough, all right? Same with exercise, when's enough? Same with rest, when's enough? Measure, the essence of measure is knowing where to stop. So all of these things, in the right measure, the right time, the right food, the right exercise, the right rest for body, mind, heart, and spirit, brings about balance, brings about alignment of body, mind, heart, and spirit. All right. And in Sanskrit, this word balance means santulana, is santulana. Santulana means balance. Comes from the root tul. Santulana means to weigh one thing, excuse me, weigh one thing against another. Weigh one thing against another, or to balance one thing against another. Okay. And the root, the energy root that the word santulana comes from in Sanskrit, tul, means weighing and determining the weight of something by lifting it up. All right. So it's all about measuring. And if you want to know, like the essence of measure is knowing when to stop. Well, think of scales, you know, those old-fashioned scales that have the two dishes and a central point. And if you pour sand into one side, obviously it's going to be imbalanced. And then if you start pouring sand into the other side, they're slowly coming into balance. And if you don't stop when they're in balance and you keep pouring sand into the other side, you get an imbalance on the other side. So the essence of measure is knowing when to stop, all right? And that brings about that balance, that alignment. Sanskrit's telling us this. It's obvious, but it's all in that Sanskrit word. Balance, to weigh one thing against another. So think about it. When we're in balance, right? When we're in alignment, we have this sort of conscious confidence about us. That's why I wrote the book, Conscious Confidence. And our body is healthy, it's relaxed, it's energized, it's strong, flexible, it's balanced, okay? The mind is clear, it's quiet, it's creative, productive, receptive, and it's efficient. Okay? Our heart is happy and loving and open, resilient, steady, enthusiastic. All right? That's just natural when we're just in balance and alignment. Okay? But then on the other side, which is all too familiar, unfortunately, we get out of alignment. All right. So our heart, well, let's say our body, for example, feels, we're addicted to pleasures and aversion to pain, or we're tired. Um, we feel stress, we're revulsions, tension, all of those kind of things, and it also can lead to dis-ease, to illness. All right. With the mind, our thinking is confused, we can be distracted, narrow, critical, trivial, repetitive, right? This is out of alignment in the mind. And for the heart, our emotions are negative emotions. So we get fear and anger, greed, jealousy, misery, lust, all right? And all of this is born of being unaware and unconscious and out of alignment, out of balance. All right. And we experience this to a greater or lesser degree, one form or another, as we go through life. I'm not saying it's every day, but that is not an unfamiliar experience. So it's about bringing some balance to our life. And there's a lovely story to help us with this. It's about priorities and balance, the essence of measure, knowing when to stop. There was a college class, and the college professor came in one day, and he was carrying a bag. And in the bag, he got to the front of the room. Students are all there waiting. And out of the bag, he got out this large glass jar, so it's clear glass, and he put it on the table, on the desk in the front, right? Now, this is completely unrelated to the subject matter that he was going to teach on the topic of the course that the students were taking. He got this clear glass jar, and he put it on the table. And then out of the bag, he got this bag of rocks, and he started filling the glass jar with these rocks. Didn't say anything. So he's filling this glass jar right up to the top with these rocks. The students are perplexed because this has got nothing to do with the topic. And he turned to them and he said, "Is this jar full?" And they all said, "Yeah, sure, of course it is. The rocks are right up to the top." So then he got out another bag from his bag on the floor of smaller stones, and he started filling the jar with these smaller stones, and the smaller stones fell around and about those larger stones and filled up the spaces around the larger stones. Now he's really got the students' attention. They're perplexed. This has got nothing to do with the topic of the class and of the course. And he filled up these smaller stones right up to the top. And he turned to them and he said, "Now is this jar full?" And the jar, for all intents and purposes, looked full, right, with these two sizes. And they all said, "Yes, absolutely, it's full." So then he reaches down, he gets out a bag of sand, and then he starts pouring that into the glass jar. And of course, the sand then filled in all around the small stones, all the spaces. And he filled the whole jar up with sand. So the bag of larger rocks, his bag was empty. The bag of smaller stones was empty. And now the bag of sand was empty. And they were all in that one jar. And at each point when he'd asked the students, they'd said the jar's full, but then he added something else, and then he added something else. And now the jar's full to the top, right, with the sand. And he stops and he says, "What does that tell you about your life?" Now they had a really fantastic conversation. And he said, those large stones in your life are the really important things, and you get them in first. You prioritize those first. That's your relationships. That's your health and well-being. Think of the oxygen mask principle, right? Your self-care of body, mind, heart, and spirit. Food, exercise, and rest for body, mind, heart, and spirit. Your, as I say, your relationships, your loved ones, that which is of most importance to you, that which is in alignment with your values, your core values. Then the next thing is, sure, you know, your work, your entertainment, well, not even your entertainments, but your work, you know, things you need to do to keep body and soul together, your house, you know, cleaning the house, keeping the family going, all of that sort of thing, you know, the day-to-day work that we do, just to sort of, you know, the laundry and the dishes and all of that. That's all the smaller things, okay? That's the next priority. And then the sand that fills in all the gaps around that, that's all your entertainments and your social media and all of that stuff, right? He said, think of your life like that. Think of those priorities like that. This is how you can bring about some balance in your life and fulfillment in your life, so that when, you know, you look back on your life, you don't regret that you've missed something out that was actually really important. Now, he taught that just by a jar, filling that up with rocks and sand and stones. And it illustrates perfectly this whole thing. You know, what is important and how do we prioritize that so that we stay in balance and alignment, and that life is fulfilling and we're there for others. Think of the oxygen mask principle. And this is the essence of real self-care. So physical, obviously physical care, food, exercise, and rest, you know, fresh, nutritious food. I'm not going to turn this show over to all of that stuff, but you know what I mean. Then, you know, exercise for the body, physical movement for the body. Of course, there's work, our physical work that we might do, but there's also, you know, working out, yoga, sport, dancing, gym, whatever you want. You need to physically move the body. It needs to be strong and fit and healthy. And then rest. We need that sleep. We need that relaxation. We need that time of restoration to restore, rebuild, rebalance. Then what about the mind, though? What's food for the mind? What about interesting, useful, stimulating subjects? Right? That's dancing for me. One of the things is it's stimulating. Like, I actually have to apply my mind. It's actually food for the mind, amongst other things. Then what's exercise for the mind? Well, it's problem solving, it's discussions, it's debate, it's learning something new, it's challenging yourself mentally. So not just talking to people who have the same views as you, talk to people who don't hold the same views. If you can find someone to have an honest conversation with about differing views, where you can have a full and frank discussion on things you don't agree with. It doesn't make them bad, doesn't make you bad, but it's fantastic exercise for the mind. That's what, you know, the art of debating is all about. And then what's rest for the mind? Well, giving focused attention to something, a restful mental activity. You know, I know women that love handwork and they find it mentally very restful. They just give their full attention as they're doing their handwork. It could be painting. It could be music. It could be anything that, or, you know, reading. It could be something that's mentally restful, and we're giving our full attention to it, so we're not distracted. All right. Then what about emotional food? Let's look at the emotional body. Food, exercise, and rest. The emotional body. Food for the emotions is objects of beauty. It's nature. its harmony, its service to others is actually feeding our heart. All right. And nature, of course, is perfect. What's exercise for the emotions? Well, it's creativity. It might be singing or painting, drawing, music, service to others as well is exercise for the emotions. And then rest for the emotions is love and affection, tranquility, and natural giving and receiving is restful for the emotions, and meditation. Being mindful and meditation is a key part here of resting the emotions and also resting the mind, frankly, and the body. And then what about spiritual food, exercise and rest? Well, spiritual work, scripture, wisdom, reading wisdom, listening to wisdom is food. It feeds our spirit. Nature, of course, feeds our spirit. Disciplined practices, prayer, overcoming limitations where we have to work to overcome a challenge, that is actually spiritual exercise, and being disciplined in our practices. So being disciplined about the thoughts that we think, for example, where is our mind tending again and again? That is actually exercise for the spirit. And then meditation is rest for the spirit and awareness, simple mindfulness and awareness in the present moment. That is rest for the spirit. Meditation covers everything, frankly, but, I've just laid out things to consider so that you're looking after all of you and not just your physical body, all of you. Food, exercise, and rest for body, mind, heart, and spirit. It doesn't have to be that you're ticking things off, but just considering it all, having it in your thinking, and remembering the oxygen mask principle, which is if you don't attend to these things for yourself, then you'll really be of very little use to other people. And I've found that I used to work and work and work, and then I ended up being grumpy and cross and all of that. And it took me a long time to make the connection that it was because I was just overworking, that I was actually tired. I needed to eat, I needed to sleep, I needed to stop and do something fun, right? I needed to take care of my heart and emotions and actually enjoy nature. And when you're a bit of a workaholic, those things don't necessarily occur to you. You get on a track and you're very focused, sort of in a narrow way. So learning to balance things out and take time, and that's where taking up ballroom dancing was just the best for us. We still do it to this day, but also, good physical exercise, walking, gym, whatever, and meditation, of course. And I had the benefit of meditation. I had the blessing of meditation, but I still was out of balance in other areas. And it wasn't selfish to stop and go for a walk. It wasn't selfish to lie down and have a rest. It wasn't selfish to go and do something, listen to some music. It was actually restoring. And so that I was in a better state to then be around other people rather than grumpy. So priorities, balance, getting it right. So I had to prioritize being in my best state for other people and for my loved ones and relationships and my work. And then I took care of other parts of myself that I was clearly neglecting, despite having meditation. So take that to heart and consider it. Give yourself the best gift you can of real self-care, body, mind, heart, and spirit, food, exercise, and rest, nourishment, exercise, and rest, restoration. And then you'll be there for others when they need you most, and you'll be in your best condition and you'll offer the best of yourself because you'll be connected to the best of yourself. And I wish you every success with it because it truly is so important and so wonderful. And if you want to know more about Damayanti for your soul, go to my website, damayanti.store, 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 damayanti.store. And at Damayanti for your soul, my website, There's a store there with beautiful jewelry like this one that's got Balam written on it, inscribed on it in beautiful Sanskrit. And Balam means strength, power, might. And this jewelry there's 8 collections there. There's one for love, for forgiveness, strength, resilience. There's others. And the jewelry acts as energetic reminders. Wear it with you, keep it with you. They're memory supports. It's good company. So go to my website, damayanti.store, check out the store and have a look at the beautiful jewelry. Get a piece for yourself or for someone you love. They make beautiful gifts. I've given them away and people are truly appreciative. I'm on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Damayanti for Your Soul. And I also have an Etsy store, which is really cool, called All Things Eternal Shop. And there's cool gear there that's got great reminders on them of mindfulness and breathing and being calm, uplifting, positivity, inspirational messages on apparel, homewares, all sorts of things. There's some jewelry there as well. So go to my website, damayanti.store, and also check out the Etsy store, All Things Eternal Shop. And I'm on social media on Facebook and Instagram. And thank you for being with me today. And good luck with staying in alignment and self-care. Santulana, balance, balance, balance. Measure. The essence of measure is knowing when to stop. And it's time for me to stop now, but I'm going to finish with the beautiful peace prayer from the Yajurveda. This is ancient, ancient wisdom, beautiful Sanskrit sounds. So take this in now as food for the mind and the heart and the spirit. And it means in heaven peace, peace in the space between, on earth peace, on the waters peace, in plants peace, in trees peace, peace in all powers, in spirit peace, peace in everything. Peace alone, peace, 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 peace. Om Dao Shanti, Antarikshan Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Apa Shanti, Oshadhaya Shanti, Vanaspataya Shanti, Vishwe Deva Shanti, Brahma Shanti, Sarvang Shanti, Shanti Reva Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you for spending time with me on Damayanti, the show for your soul. To find out more about Damayanti or to get my book, Conscious Confidence, Use the Wisdom of Sanskrit to Find Clarity and Success, or to purchase my range of beautiful spiritual jewelry, go to my website, damayanti.store. That's damayanti.store. See you next time.